The sun was merciless that day, a white-hot fire hanging over the New Mexico plains, turning the sand into mirrors of heat. Coyotes hid from it, even the wind seemed afraid to move. But he lay there still, face in the dust, blood drying fast on his shirt. The name folks knew him by was Colt Avery, a ranch hand turned drifter, half outlaw, half broken man. His horse had been shot from under him 2 days back, and the men hunting him were still out there somewhere, bounty riders who didn't care whether the law said wanted dead or alive. His breath came slow and shallow. The buzz of flies around his wound grew louder. He thought about his mother's old prayer, how she'd told him a man could still die clean if he died honest. Colt had been neither for a long time. He tried to lift his head once more, but the world swam white. That's when he heard it, the soft thud of hooves, steady and patient, not afraid. A shadow crossed over him. Someone dismounted, boots crunching the sand. Then a calm voice, rich and steady as river water, said, "Get on my horse, handsome cowboy. You're not dying here." He blinked, thinking maybe the sun had driven him mad. But she was real. An Apache woman, her hair braided long, eyes sharp and clear as morning light. She knelt beside him, pressed a hand to his chest and nodded. "Still beating," she said. "Good. That means you owe life one more try." He tried to speak, but only a rasp came out. "Why, help me," she smiled faintly. "Because you're too stubborn to die quiet. Now move before the buzzards claim you." With surprising strength, she hauled him up and over her horse. The animal snorted, dust flying, but obeyed. She mounted behind, steadying him with one arm around his shoulders. He could smell sage and smoke on her skin. As they rode, the world blurred into sunlight and motion. Hours later, he woke to the smell of herbs and the soft crackle of a small fire. They were in a canyon, hidden by red stone walls glowing under the afternoon sun. She sat beside him, crushing leaves into a paste. "You talk in your sleep," she said without looking up. "Said a woman's name." He frowned, confused. "Don't remember," she shrugged. "Then she wasn't worth dying for." That made him almost laugh. Almost. She worked in silence, pressing the herbal paste against his wound. The sting made him flinch, but her eyes caught his and held firm. "Pain means the body remembers how to live," she said softly. "Don't fight it." He watched her, trying to understand why a stranger would risk herself for a man like him. Her clothes were worn but clean, her knife sharp, her hands sure. She wasn't afraid of him or of the world. "What's your name?" he asked finally. "Tala," she said. "Means wolf." By sunset, golden and blinding Latsu, he could sit up. She handed him water from a leather flask. "You'll live," she said. "Maybe." He drank, the coolness hitting him like a mercy he didn't deserve. "You saved me," he murmured. "That wasn't in your favor." She looked toward the horizon. "Out here saving someone is never about favor. It's about balance. You'll repay it one way or another." They rode again the next day, the desert alive with light and wind. Colt leaned in the saddle, weak but breathing stronger. "Where are you taking me?" he asked. "Someplace the white men forgot," she said. "A valley with water and shade. You heal there." He smiled weakly. "Why not just leave me?" "I'm not exactly a good man." She turned her head, sunlight flashing in her dark eyes. "I've seen good men kill for land. I've seen bad men die to save a child. You don't know what you are till your last day. Maybe this isn't yours yet." They reached the valley by midday, a place carved between cliffs, green grass swaying under a crystal sky. Water shimmered through the stones, and birds sang like the desert itself was reborn. Colt stared, breathless. "Didn't know heaven was this close to hell." She laughed softly. "That's where most men find it." For the next few days, she tended him, teaching him to breathe slow, to eat little, to rest. Sometimes she spoke of her husband, a warrior who had died fighting soldiers who came for their land. "They said he died brave," she told Colt, "but bravery doesn't bring a man home. Mercy does." He listened silent, the meaning settling deep in his bones. One morning, as the sun climbed high, Colt asked, "What happens when I can stand again?" She paused, looking over the valley. "Then you ride out of here," she said. "And remember who you became." He frowned. "And you?" She smiled faintly. "Me? I was never meant to keep anyone, just to guide them where they belong. He didn't understand then, not fully, but when he looked into her eyes, steady, calm, reflecting the light of the desert, he felt something inside him shift. For the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. For the first time, death didn't scare him anymore. By the fourth day, the fever had left his body. Colt could feel the weight of life return to his limbs, heavy, stubborn, but alive. The canyon around them shone with morning light. Sparrows hopped between the stones, and a stream of clear water caught the sun like melted silver. Tala was already awake, kneeling beside the fire, drying herbs on a flat rock. Her braid caught the light, a dark ribbon against the gold of the desert. Colt pushed himself upright and groaned softly. "You could have left me out there," he said. "It would have been easier." Tala didn't look at him. "Easier doesn't mean right," she said. "Men forget that when they've been running too long." He smiled faintly. "You talk like someone who's seen the worst of both worlds." She glanced at him, her face unreadable. "I have." When she handed him a bowl of stew, thin, warm, filled with cactus fruit and wild beans, he took it with both hands. The food wasn't much, but after days of pain, it felt like a gift from heaven. "You cook like a saint," he said, trying to lighten the silence. She arched a brow. "Saints don't curse men who talk too much." He laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. The sound echoed off the canyon walls, startling a bird into flight. As the days turned, he learned things about her he never expected. Tala had once been a healer's daughter, born near the White River. Her people were scattered when the soldiers came. She married young, a warrior named Koda, but he'd been killed defending their last camp. Since then, she'd roamed the lands between tribes and towns, helping anyone she found alive and burying those she didn't. "You've been living like a ghost," Colt said one morning. "You ever get tired of it?" She smiled softly. "A ghost's only tired when her promise is done." One afternoon, as the sun burned high, they heard hooves, distant but closing. Colt froze. "Those bounty men. They found me." Tala didn't panic. She stood, eyes on the horizon. "How many?" "3, maybe 4, he said. "They won't stop." She nodded once. "Then neither will I." He tried to stand, but his legs buckled. "You can't fight them," he rasped. Tala picked up her rifle from the rock. "I don't fight," she said. "I protect." Before he could argue, she whistled, a sharp, rising sound, and her horse came running. "Stay down," she ordered, mounting quick as the wind. The fight that followed was nothing short of blinding. The men rode into the canyon yelling, guns drawn, dust rising like smoke. Tala circled from above, the sun flashing off her rifle barrel. Her shots came fast and sure, cracking the air like thunder. 2 riders fell before they even saw her. Colt dragged himself to the rocks, firing once, hitting another man's shoulder. The last one tried to flee, but Tala's horse cut him off. She disarmed him and let him live, just long enough to see her warning. "Go back," she told him coldly. "Tell them the desert still remembers." When the echo faded, the canyon fell quiet again. Colt sat slumped, staring at her. "You could have killed them all," she shook her head. "Killing doesn't end a story. It just passes it on to someone else." He swallowed hard. "You're not like any woman I ever met." She smiled faintly. "That's because I'm not trying to be one." By late afternoon, they buried the dead men under the open sun. She placed small stones over each grave, whispering something in Apache, words that sounded like forgiveness and warning all at once. Colt watched her silently, humbled. "You prayed for them," he said softly, "after they came to kill you." She looked at him. "If I don't, their spirits will wander. And I've seen enough ghosts in this land." That night the air turned warm and still. They sat beside the fire, the sky burning orange and gold as the sun sank behind the hills. "You said you had a promise," Colt murmured. "Who was it for?" Tala stared into the firelight, though the glow only brushed her face with daylight's last shimmer. "A dying man," she said. "He was my husband's friend. Wounded, left behind by his own men. I found him in the desert. He made me promise to never let a soul die alone out here." Colt's throat tightened. "So that's why you saved me." She nodded slowly. You were meant to die. But I was meant to stop it. He looked down, voice rough. Then what happens now? Tala's eyes softened, catching the sunlight still flickering through the canyon. Now, Cowboy, she said quietly, you live long enough to decide what you'll do with the life I gave back. Colt didn't answer. He couldn't. His heart was too full, with gratitude, guilt, and something far deeper. As the last light bathed them in gold, he finally understood that the woman beside him wasn't just his savior. She was the soul of the desert itself, fierce, patient, and unyielding.